My name's Maxine Beneba Clarke, and I'm the Peter Steele Poet in Residence for the Faculty of Arts at Melbourne University for 2023. My priorities as Poet in Residence are essentially just to soak up the world of the Arts Faculty of Melbourne University. I think it's as much about me having the experience of being in a university space and what that means for my work, as it is about, hopefully giving students some insight into the way that I create and the way that I practice. As a writer, I tend to write about my life. My poetry collections are about Melbourne lockdown and the way the Black Lives Matter movement kind of spread across the world in 2020. So I'm writing about contemporary issues. And so in that way, I think the spaces I'm in and the people that I interact with actually become part of my own work. I'm also trying to create spaces where students can come and talk about poetry and engage with poetry outside of their normal programs, where students can come, bring a poem they like or bring something they're writing and just talk about poetry. I think it's really important for students who are studying all kinds of different things and who may not even go on to become writers or poets to engage with poetry. I think poetry is about empathy. It's about the way you use language. It's about storytelling. During my time here so far, I've had a chance to do a workshop with some medical students about poetry in a course called Narrative Medicine. And it was really interesting to get to talk to students who are studying a completely different subject and see the way that they actually respond to different stories. I think poetry is something that essentially can impact on people in all different kinds of fields. And I think that's something I find really interesting about being in this university space, is being able to take poetry outside of the arts.
The End of the Affair by Maxine Beneba Clarke.
Poetry and we broke up last week.
We kind of just grew apart.
It wasn't him.
It was me.
Well, okay, just quietly.
Between me and you,
It was wild while it lasted.
But poetry, he got all single white male for the last part there on me. It's true.
He wanted to be my everything.
I wasn't sure I still loved him like that.
And needed some time to think.
But poetry, he said, I am not going to buy that let's have a break jazz.
Poetry knew I wanted out.
And started following me everywhere. I couldn't work
Or leak.
Or eat.
Or sleepwalk without him calling on me.
You know poetry.
At times, he can be so damn needy. After we split, I'd be out somewhere, and poetry would just happen to turn up. He'd pull that,
Fancy meeting you here crap.
As if he hadn't been hiding outside my house.
To see where I went all that time.
I never thought it would end like this.
I could see poetry and I, old, in rocking chairs together.
Hands wrapped around steaming mugs, reminiscing about the good times.
When we first met,
I was always thinking, now poetry, he is beautiful.
you know what I mean?
I mean, it was like poetry could have anyone he wanted.
And poetry chose me. Not that I have low self-esteem.
People were always saying, girl, you and poetry, you were just meant to be together.
You are so lucky to have found each other.
And poetry would smile my way, as if to say,
I will never leave you. Maxine,
we will be together always, you and me.
And now I am starting to understand.
just what that might mean.